G7 leaders say they will continue to throw support behind Ukraine for as long as it takes.
The group held an emergency meeting today with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to discuss Russia's recent and widespread assault on the nation. Russian forces launched airstrikes across Ukraine yesterday. Dozens of missiles hit neighborhoods during rush hour, killing at least 19 people and injuring more than 100. CBS News' Natalie Brand has the latest.
More Russian missiles smashed into multiple Ukrainian cities and towns Tuesday, demolishing homes and critical energy infrastructure. This woman was rescued from her home in Sloviansk, her neighborhood destroyed by an anti-aircraft missile unleashed by the Russians on a civilian-populated area. In Kyiv, residents scrambled to bomb shelters and subways to avoid the continued bombardment. They sang Ukrainian folk songs and the national anthem in defiance. The continued onslaught is the largest Russian attack on Ukraine since the early days of the nearly 8-month-long war.
Putin felt like he had to do something.
Former U.S. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster was on CBS Mornings explaining why Russia has returned to launching missiles on civilians. He says Ukraine's counteroffensive wiped out Russian weapons depots within Ukraine, and this weekend's bombing of a Russian bridge weakened a main route to replenish supplies.
The Russians are in a really tough spot. This is about an 850-kilometer-long active front. You can't be strong everywhere.
The White House says President Biden spoke by phone to President Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday, pledging to provide continued defense support for Ukraine, including advanced air defense systems.
President Zelensky also addressed G7 leaders Tuesday during a virtual meeting. Russian officials say continued assistance from the U.S. will only extend the war and make it more painful for Ukraine. Russia's foreign minister says it's open to peace talks with the U.S. He added that Russia will use nuclear weapons only as a defense. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
God, the images are so jarring. I want to bring in Lieutenant General Ben Hodges. He's a senior advisor for the human rights organization Human Rights First and a former officer of the U.S. Army in Europe. Lieutenant General, these are the most intense, widespread attacks we've seen from Russia since the war started. How do you foresee these attacks changing the overall path of the war, and how much further can Putin actually escalate this?
Hey, guys. Well, first of all, these missile attacks are going to do nothing to change facts on the ground for Russian forces who are being pummeled by Ukrainian forces. I still am confident that Ukrainian forces are going to push them back to the 23 February line by the end of this year, and that Ukraine will be able to liberate Crimea by sometime next summer. Russian logistics system is exhausted. They've got so many problems. And this, of course, is why the Kremlin has switched to terrorist attacks, basically targeting innocent civilians. This is an attempt to draw out the conflict, to cause us to lose will, and to try and break the will of the Ukrainian people. It's not going to happen.
So, Lieutenant General Hodges, let's talk about the timing a little bit more, because as you said, Russian troops have been pummeled. The Ukrainian forces have been making a lot of progress. Given that we're also heading into the winter season, what's the significance of Putin choosing now to ramp up strikes? What does that tell you about the trajectory of the war?
So this is an important question. Part of what the Kremlin is trying to do, of course, is to make these Ukrainian cities uninhabitable. I mean, you probably know that back before World War II, when Stalin was leading the Soviet Union, he killed basically more than 2 million Ukrainians through starvation. And so what they're attempting to do here is the same thing, make cities uninhabitable, going after power infrastructure so that people cannot heat their homes, going after food storage and food making capacity so that they will starve. This is a continuation of the Russian effort to destroy Ukraine as a state and the idea of Ukraine as a state, which is why it is a fool's errand to try to think that we can somehow negotiate with somebody like Vladimir Putin.
So what you're saying is there's no way out for him through any diplomatic course. Is there, I mean, how does Putin get out of this? Will he, or as you're saying, he will continue until he sees a Ukraine that's completely devastated?
Well, I think exactly as the Prime Minister of Finland said the other day, he can leave. He's not in a corner. He has brought this catastrophe on himself, on Russia, and on Ukraine by himself. He could end it today by walking out. And I think we would be wrong to reward his aggression with any sort of pressing Ukraine to give up territory. We know what happens to people that live in Russian occupied territory. There's no way that he should have, I mean, it's not our job to give him an off-ramp or to help him save face. I hear this every now and then.
Right.
He can do that today himself.
The longer that this war drags on, who has the advantage?
So his goal is to drag this out as far as possible in hopes that all of us, the U.S., Canada, European allies, that we lose will, that we get tired of it. We're all, every one of us has our own internal domestic challenges, of course. But I think the president has done a good job keeping everybody focused on the mission, recognizing, and most nations recognize that this is about more than just Ukraine. This is about democracy fighting against an imperialistic autocracy. It's about China, because China is watching to see if the West, if we can deal with some economic pressure and help Ukraine defeat Russia, that will impress China. But if we can't do that, then I don't think they'll be too impressed with anything that we say about Taiwan or the South China Sea. So this is connected. And let me just say one last thing. This is the last winter that Russia can disrupt our economies. After this winter, they will not be able to do it. So we have to stick together and support Ukraine.
Wow. Lieutenant General Ben Hodges, thank you.